some fantasy football!
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Island. Guess who joined me on the island tonight? Look at Johnny Bullgame.
Dude, the sun is high, the waves are cool, and the breeze is hitting just right. Welcome to the island, everybody.
Welcome to the island. Who's not on the island with us, Johnny? Where's Mr. Rolls Royce?
Sir Poops a lot. They're both
Where's
gone.
Sir Poops a lot?
Oh,
They'll be back next week. They'll be back next week. It's okay. We can do this again, Johnny.
Let's do it, dude. It's the duo. Let's prop this shit up like we always. Let's prop this stuff up like we always do.
Hey, I heard you got a Johnny Ball rant this week.
I do have a Johnny Ball rant. So listen to me, folks. Referees, this one's for you. You have a special place in my heart because it's a shitty job. Nobody ever goes, man, did you see that refereeing last night? That was awesome refereeing. Like, nobody ever says that. The best you can hope for is for somebody to not comment on the referees. That's your best night. But here's what's happening. More so than any year I can remember, the referees are screwing with us. Do you know how many fantasy touchdowns I've had removed because of penalties? Holding penalties that would normally not be called, they're calling this year. But the worst came 2 weeks ago with my beloved Chicago Bears and a taunting call. And this was not a taunting, folks. The Bears' Cassius Marsh, who was a former Steeler and had just been elevated from the practice squad, makes this fantastic sack. He does this little karate judo kick thing that he does, and then he stares at the sideline, kind of jawing. But he's, a half a football field away from the people on the sideline, and they flag him for taunting. And to make it more weird, the referee kind of backed into him as he was going back to his own sideline and then threw the flag. It was, referees, stop loving to hear yourself talk. Stop loving to have impact on the game. Stop in a negative way. Stop inserting yourself where you need not be inserting yourself. Officiate it. Make sure nobody's getting hurt. Make sure nobody's standing over somebody and spitting on them or really taunting them while they're on the ground and hurt. I get it. But when you take the fun out of the league, all you do is tell everybody that the NFL still truly stands for the no fun league. That's just my humble opinion. Back to you, Chuck.
I have a quick rant.
Yes, sir.
Can Matt Stafford throw the ball to anybody except Cooper Kupp? I mean, last night was a joke. They're down 31-3 in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes to go. And I noticed that Cooper Kupp had 4 catches for 44 yards. And I thought, oh, finally, Cooper Kupp's going to have a mediocre game. And I swear the next 10 passes went Cooper Kupp's direction. He was forcing it to him in garbage time. Again, this is garbage time when he shouldn't even be in the game. And he's peppering Cooper Kupp every freaking time. And all I'm thinking is, you're gonna get him hurt. And then what are you gonna do? They need to start spreading the ball out. I mean, it's good for Cooper Kupp owners. You're getting your points. And he did end up with 10 catches for
120 yards.
20 yards. Yeah. So he had a great game. But do you really want them to do that at the end of games in a meaningless scenario and get him hurt? Because that's what's going to happen. That's what I keep thinking is going to happen.
Yeah. Do you know he's on pace to have the most receiving yards in a single season?
It's incredible.
More than Jerry Rice. At this point, when Jerry Rice set the record, it's more yards, I believe, or right there at it, that Jerry Rice had.
Well, he has that extra game as well.
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice. Yeah. It's
and
crazy.
Cooper Kupp. Who doesn't mention those names in this sentence all the time?
Props to Cooper Kupp. He's fantastic. But
doing great.
But at the end of the game, when you're down by 28, calm down. Get him out of the game. And Stafford, get him out of the game. It's meaningless.
Yeah.
All right. We had a great show for you tonight, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell because I know I say we do this every week, and we normally do, but we owe you one. We missed last week. We had some emergencies. We apologize.
We had a bye week.
We had a bye week. That was our bye week, but we're back strong, and we're going to keep it going. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe. All right, guys? Yep. Now, how about some fantasy nicknames to lighten up the show a little bit, Johnny? What do you think?
Let's do it. Chuck, I'm stoked. This is my favorite segment. I want to hear what you got for me this week.
All right, let's start off with a few negative ones. Okay. How about TJ Hawkin Nunn? How about Big Fat Zero?
Yeah.
Speaking of zeros, how about in Miami? Mike Goose Aggie.
Oh, that might be my favorite one so far, dude.
How about some good ones here? How about in New England? Ramondre, get you some.
Wow, we went on a journey for that one, didn't we?
How about in Buffalo? My boy continues to be Josh Stallion. That guy, I ride him like a horse every week. That guy's a stud.
Mm-hmm. You also had digs one out of his ass for a change.
Yeah, finally, right?
Yeah.
How about in Kansas City? We had Cracker Barrel Williams.
Nice.
That boy was hungry.
He was hungry. That boy was eating.
He was eating that country food, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look who's back in Carolina. Christian the Grabbies. He caught 10 balls. Grabbing everything. All right, and then in Atlanta, how about Matt Cryan? -3 points? Ugh.
Ridiculous.
Oh, but what about in San Francisco? How about Debo? Damn, fool. That guy went off again. Debo continues to impress.
Yeah.
And then I know you're going to like this one, Johnny, because you have him in Denver. How about Cortland Nutton, honey?
Talk about him later. He is a pain point in my life.
Hey,
absolutely.
You know what I saw in Kansas City?
What's that?
Patrick, here I am, Holmes. Hey, where was he
Patrick,
been?
Welcome, Holmes.
5 touchdowns and 400 yards. There he is.
Yeah.
Now back in Seattle, it was Russell Nil, son. Nothing for him. And how about in Green Bay? Aaron Jones finally goes down to injury. You got running back AJ chilling. He's just waiting for that opportunity. Here he comes.
Nice. Hey, Kansas City also had Travis. Did you miss me?
Yeah. It's been a while for him as well.
It's been a while. Yeah.
It's been a while. All right, enough of the nicknames. You guys ready to get the show on the road here?
Let's do it, brother.
Let's go. Here we go.
News and notes around the NFL.
News and notes around the league. It's been 2 weeks for us, so some of this news will be a little bit dated, but we want to catch up because there is a point to that. The first story we'll explain. So the Los Angeles Rams obviously traded for Odell Beckham Jr. At the end of last week. And then a day or two later, they reported that Robert Woods tore his ACL in practice and would be lost for the season. So we saw the game last night. Beckham wasn't used much. It was his first game to get acclimated to things. Do you think that Odell Beckham will be fruitful for the Rams?
Yeah, I think he will. I think he'll be fruitful. I don't think he's ever going to be. And I need Odell Beckham Jr. Let's all the owners of Odell Beckham Jr. I'm going to have an intervention for you right now. He's never going to be New York Giants one-hand catch falling backwards in an end zone Odell Beckham. He's never going to be that guy again. He's had too many injuries, too many miles on it, too much going on in that guy's brain. Some of it not good. I think he'll be fruitful. I think he'll be useful. I like Van Jefferson actually to get a little bit more action there than Odell. I think Van Jefferson's the one who, benefits from the unfortunate demise of Bobby Trees.
Van Jefferson was a van down by the river though last night. He dropped an absolute touchdown. He had a bad game.
He did.
But
they kept going to him. That's
they did. He got the targets, and I think he's going to be second in line. I don't think Beckham's as good as Woods though. At their current state.
Oh, he's not. No,
he's not.
He's absolutely not.
I think people think they're just going to plug him in the Robert Woods role, and he's going to catch a bunch of balls. He's going to catch some, but I don't think.
And by the way,
Woods.
Bobby Woods wasn't doing that good.
No, he wasn't.
Was not doing that great. So what, you're going to plug a guy who's not quite as good as him into a role where he wasn't doing that great anyway? Congratulations. You did great.
Exactly. But if you do have Odell Beckham, you have something to look forward to now because he's definitely going to catch more balls than he did in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Matt Stafford
He'll have a better mindset. He'll have he's going to be on a winning team. It'll be cool. And I like a good comeback story. So there's part of me that hope he does. There's part of me that hopes he doesn't too. So let's just be honest.
Big part of me hopes that he takes a little bit of the share away from Cooper Kupp so we can even the shit out a little bit, Yeah,
that'd be nice. Yeah.
Good Lord. All right, next story. So we have a bunch of guys that return to practice today. So it's all good news. Damian Harris, he had the concussion. Cordero Patterson, who they thought injured his ankle, but maybe not. He's back in practice. Saquon Barkley's back in practice. Chase Claypool returned to practice. So of all those guys, which one is most important and has the biggest impact?
Saquon from a mental standpoint, right? So just him being on the field will make his team feel a lot better. Damian Harris, to me, they're like, so what, dude? We got, Ramondre. We don't necessarily need him, right? So they already see they can make it without him. And I'm not sure he hasn't already carved out a bigger section. And I think Damian Harris doesn't get the carries. Chase Claypool's been fairly inconsistent and almost useless at most times. And we're not even sure Big Ben can come back. And what's his face? I can't think of his name now, the backup quarterback that drives me nuts.
The same guy we can't think of ever because we don't care about him.
Yeah, that guy.
Absolute garbage.
Showed us that he could tie the worst team in the league. Congratulations, buddy. Hey, you did it. Solidified the fact that they will be drafting a quarterback in the very first round next year. Congratulations.
That show is over. They definitely need to go get a quarterback in the draft next year because obviously neither one of those guys can do it. So
no.
I think the biggest impact will be Saquon Barkley, but I don't think it's going to be like Saquon of a couple years ago where he comes in the last 7 weeks or so and completely goes off. I just don't think the Giants have the offensive line for that. But I do think he's going to help them open up the offense a little bit more. He's still explosive. So I'm curious to see how that goes. I'm worried about Damian Harris, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show.
Yeah.
All right. Injury news. Chase Young out for the year, tore his ACL against the Patriots. Or excuse me, not against the Patriots, against Tampa Bay. Washington actually balled out on defense and made Tom Brady, throw a fit. It was crazy. And then Chase Young tears his ACL. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, it was weird. That was the Washington defense that we thought we were going to see all year. I mean, I drafted them high, spent some capital on them, thought I had myself a deal with those guys. The defensive line was going to be fantastic. I do think the deep backs are getting healthy. I think they'll be better. But boy, they lost a key cog there with Chase going out. That dude's motor never stops. And even when they weren't doing well, he was doing well with a lot of quarterback pressures and stuff. It's, it makes me want to start against the Washington defense again as much as I possibly can.
Yeah. For that 1 week, they were great. That shit is now over. I mean, without Chase Young, it's a different story. We'll see, though. We'll see. All right. Baltimore Ravens today cut Le'Veon Bell. Do we care?
I don't. Do you?
No.
You tell me, Chuck. What do you got on this?
I mean, if I was wearing the Fantasy Reaper costume right now, I'd be taking my scythe and whipping Le'Veon Bell's ass because he's going to fantasy death here. And I'm sure some team, and I smell the Atlanta Falcons maybe, are going to go out, or maybe the Titans, and pick up Le'Veon Bell because he's Le'Veon Bell, whatever. But this guy's done. He's shown it.
Listen, if you can't be the number one back on a team that lost its top two running backs and a team that's run friendly with an awesome offensive line that will pass to its running backs when they need to, with a quarterback who takes all the pressure off of the running backs, and you can't succeed in that offense.
Also, let me add, you can't beat out Devonta Freeman and Tyson Williams, who can't even block.
Yeah, can't beat out those guys.
It's over.
The team goes, I need that guy on my team. I need that. He can do with all that stuff. Let's get him in. Let's get Le'Veon. No, that guy's done. He is done.
I agree. I still think a team will probably get him for depth, but this is going to be his final swan song. This is it. I don't think you'll see him in the league next year. All right. Speaking of guys that the Fantasy Reaper wanted to take out weeks ago, he just won't go away. Sham Newton is back in Carolina. He comes into the game for 2 goal line plays, runs in a touchdown, throws in another touchdown, and now he's the starting quarterback, just like that. He's starting this week for Carolina. Johnny, what do you think, man? Can we get rid of this guy once and for all?
No, I don't think you can. I think if you're not taking him seriously right now, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. This feels to me like one of those things. You know what I mean? Like, it's everything you need. It's a homecoming. He knows the system. He knows the coach. He knows the receivers. It's not like he's going to, a completely different team that runs a different system. He's back home. And not only that, he was humbled and he's hungry and he's back home. And he's got weapons. Carolina's got weapons for days. The fact that Sam Darnold lost that job is Sam Darnold's fault and nobody else's fault, because he's got receivers. He's got one of the great running backs in the league. He's got a pretty good line. The coach is actually kind of a borderline genius, in my opinion. Sam Darnold was bad. And now Cam's got a chance to go, here I am, guys. As he said the other day, while he took his helmet off and was acting like a jackass, I'm home. And he is. He's home.
Sam Darnold's out for the year, too, due to injury, according to Carolina. And I think they might just be saying that so they can just move on.
Put him on IR.
Just put him on IR, be done with him. Sam Darnold is one of those guys, too, that the Reaper's looking at. So he's had too many chances. He's just not a good quarterback. The other thing I want to say to Cam Newton is, welcome back to the Panthers. I've been shitting on you all year. We're going to give you another chance.
Sure.
If you're going to be successful, throw the ball to Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield. Don't be afraid to dump it off to the guy who is the most talented running back in the league still. And that fool proved it again. His first week back, 10 catches, had almost 100 yards rushing as well. The man, he's the best running back in football. Use him. Utilize that guy, and you'll be all right. What I don't want to see is the god dang fashion show after the game, Johnny.
I can't take it, dude.
Please, no more shenanigans after the game.
Can't take it.
Fantasy Heroes and Zeros.
Fantasy Heroes and Fantasy Zeros. We're going to pick a couple guys that went off for us this week and saved our weeks. And we're going to talk about a couple guys each that pretty much sucked and got nearly zeros for us this week. So I'm going to start with you, John. You have a running back hero this week. We've heard it before. Give it to us again.
Yeah, I loved him this week. He had a little bit of an off week last week. He's been written off a couple of times this year, but he always seems to come back strong. Zeke is one of the few bright spots on my team this week. And again, I'm focusing on one specific league, although I've got him in a couple of leagues and he was fantastic in all these leagues. But Zeke, welcome back, sir. It was nice to have you. You guys dominated. The Cowboys looked like the team we thought they were going to be. And Atlanta looked like the team we thought they were going to be. But Zeke just dominant.
He was a monster. He had a couple of touchdowns. Didn't need to really go off. He didn't get a lot of rushing yards, but he did what he needed to do for fantasy purposes. So good game for him. That was an ugly game, man. That game was over by halftime.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The fact that he got that many points in a game where he wasn't really used after the third quarter is pretty good.
I got something exactly like that. Same game at the wide receiver position. My hero was CD Lamb. The Cookie Monster's back. That guy was eating. He had 6 for 94 and 2 tutties in the first half. Early in the third quarter, he caught a 12-yard pass to go over 100 yards. And then they switched it. They did a stat switch and called it a run instead. So he didn't get 100 yards receiving, but he did get 12 yards rushing on top of that. And then I think he had a Charlie horse, and they pulled him out. It was a blowout anyways. So in basically a half, he had all those numbers. So he was my fantasy hero. He did really well for me. Super excited to see CD Lamb bust out. And he obviously is the better receiver between the two, him and Amari Cooper.
Totally
it's CD Lamb, and it's not even close.
We've been saying that since the draft.
Yeah.
It's nice to see starting to really play out from a scoring standpoint too.
So. It is. I doubted it for the first couple of weeks when Amari Cooper came out like gangbusters, but ever since then it's been not even close. CeeDee Lamb is the monster that we thought he was. All right, you got another hero, but it's not a receiver, it's not a running back, and it's not a quarterback. Who is it?
Let's go defense.
What?
This is my second time of calling these guys a hero. New England Patriots, dude. They look tough. Every facet of the game, you went, oh my gosh, that's right. Bill Belichick's the coach of this team. It was awesome. They got an interception. They had 3 sacks. They had a fumble recovery. It was just an unbelievable team effort. That defense, though, God, I love it when a defense scores me in that kind of a range. So, yeah. Thank you, Patriots. Thank you.
Yeah, the Patriots are really coming through for you. They're one of the top 5 defenses this year. They're back.
Yeah.
They look really good. In the right matchups, they're a great play.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I bet you can guess my other hero this week. Can you guess, Johnny?
Did you ride him like a stallion?
It's not Josh Allen, believe it or not. It's this guy that I pretty much every week is my hero. Debo! Again.
Debo.
5 catches, 97 yards. He had another long TD. He also added 5 carries for 36 yards and a rushing touchdown. And this man is now wide receiver 2 behind Cooper Kupp. I mean, Debo does it every week. He's my hero yet again. What do you think?
Every week, man. No, that's I can't. What can I say? Like I want him so bad, and I can't get him in any league. Nobody's gonna trade that guy. He's the number 1 receiver right now.
You know what's funny? I was talking to my cousin earlier before the Monday night game, and I said, "Man, I had a crappy week." And he's like, "No, you still got Debo, and you know he's gonna catch a long touchdown like he does every week." And I was like, "I don't know, man." And of course he did. Yeah. And it was like towards the end of the game on the last drive for the Niners that meant anything. He pops it loose for a 40-yard touchdown. The man is simply amazing.
I'm not sure there's a wide receiver that I would want more on my team this year.
I agree.
Like anybody where you go every week, week in and week out, just puts up numbers and criminally underrated every week.
Every week. I still doubt him to this day. I still think he's going to have that dud. It's just not happening.
That happened.
No.
That's unbelievable.
All right, we talked about our heroes, so now we got to talk about our freaking zeros. I'll start this one off. I got a 0. We already talked about him. TJ Hawk and Nunn comes up with zip, and I'm not even mad at him. You know who I'm mad at, John? Jared Goff. Jared Goff had the worst freaking football game as a quarterback I have ever seen without being a turnover fest. The guy wouldn't throw the ball.
Bad.
He just can't throw the ball down the field at all. He doesn't see the field. All he did was dump it off to his running backs. It was garbage. He threw a couple receiver screen passes. He had 40 yards deep into the game, like fourth quarter with a few minutes left. 40 yards passing. How is anyone going to go off when your quarterback can't even get 100 yards passing? That is sad.
So bad.
So bad.
Who do you think got the better deal of the Rams-Lions trade?
Yeah, who did?
Yeah. Even as bad as they were yesterday, but man. All right, my zeros, we mentioned him a little bit earlier in the injury update, but Cordero Patterson. And, it's hard for me to give this guy a 0 because I love him so much. He's been such a find for me, such a huge pickup. But, man, that guy played in the first and second quarter, tweaked his ankle ever so slightly, but it was already such a blowout. They went, nah, that's cool. You stay on the bench, brother. We got it. We'll let Gallman go out there and get his ass kicked for another 2 quarters. You sit here and rest your ankle. It was ugly. It was 1 reception for 14 yards. That guy's good for 6 to 7 every week. 14 rushes for 31 yards. No, actually, that's not even right. 4 rushes for 25 yards is what it was. So
not bad. He only got 4 carries. That's the problem.
Yeah, he only had 4 carries. I mean, his per yard average was fantastic, but they only used him. I mean, 5 touches, dude, for Cordero Patterson. They're easily there this year.
Dallas had the ball the whole game. Matt Ryan was awful. He had -3 points from fantasy. He was garbage. So they just
Garbage.
they didn't have the ball enough. Give me your other 0.
My other 0. He's been in both my hero and my 0 all year. Seems like every week I'm mentioning him in one or the other, and I'm going back well on the 0s. And you mentioned him earlier, Cortland freaking Sutton. Just bad. 2 receptions for 29 yards. Ever since Jerry Judy's come back, it's not like Jerry Judy's going off, but he's getting enough that he's just taking anything away from Sutton. Bridgewater's non-tackling ass is not throwing him the ball. It's just bad. It's bad. And literally, I'm like, do I even keep this guy on my roster? That's how bad it is. I'm considering dropping Cortland Sutton because he's that bad.
Yeah, Cortland Sutton has been a big disappointment this year. Other than a couple of huge games, he's coming up small quite a bit. And it's the quarterback. It's the offense. I don't like Bridgewater. He just doesn't throw it on the field.
So bad, man. Who's your other 0?
This one's kind of a shock, but he's been quite bad lately, and that's tight end Darren Waller on the Raiders. He's got 4 catches for 24 yards, which at the tight end position you take most players, right? But when you draft Darren Waller, you're either getting him in the 2nd or 3rd round. You need more than that, and he's coming up small week after week. I'm waiting for that week where he has that big explosion, and it's just not happening. Hasn't happened since the first week of the season. I'm starting to think he's just a mediocre tight end this year.
I think he is. I think you're absolutely right. When he was out, his replacement actually had a really good game, right? You know what I'm talking about, the backup tight end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he looked great when Waller was out. So is it just possible that Waller's just not as good as we thought he was?
Maybe he didn't put in the work.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Waller, if you hear me.
Waller, if you hear me. Okay.
Life support.
New segment, life support. We're going to talk about some guys that we think have been or are on life support right now. And we're going to decide, do we think a fantasy death is near? Or do we think these guys are about to get resurrected and go on to have a fruitful fantasy second half? And if any of these guys that we talk about are you have additional guys that you want to talk about, feel free to talk about them as well. But let's start with the guys I have written down and we can discuss. First one is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's coming back this week from his 3 or 4 week knee injury that he had. Do we think he's about to resurrect his fantasy season and come through? Or do we think, after what we saw from Mike Williams, is it a timeshare and is he going to slowly die? What do you think?
I don't think he'll share with Williams. It's Darrell Williams, right?
Darrell Williams.
Yeah. I don't think he'll share with Darrell. I think he'll get the job back when he comes. But here's what I think. The Kansas City Chiefs have changed their entire philosophy, and they're just taking what the defense gives them, which was a lot of checkdowns, which is why Darrell Williams just went off. And I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire, by the way, better receiver. He's actually a really good receiver out of the backfield. They just haven't been using him that way. I actually like Clyde for the rest of the season. I like him a lot.
Okay. I think it's going to be a committee. Darrell Williams has proven himself. Did you see the catch he made the other night? Where he jumped in front of the guy, jumped over him, caught the ball, and fell in the end zone for a TD? Yeah. I think he's good. Earned. And I think he's one of those Andy Reid guys. Andy Reid loves this guy. And I think he's going to get not maybe 50%, but like 40% of the carries, maybe 35%. Yeah. It's going to be just enough. I think CH is going to do fine, but I don't think he's got running back one ability because of the timeshare. But we'll see.
Interesting. Yeah.
All right. Next guy. This guy's been awful all year, but he just had a monster game against a good defense, the Tampa Bay Bucks run defense. And that's Antonio Gibson.
No
Is he alive? Is he resurrecting? What do we think, John?
Yeah. And do you remember when he started to come alive last year?
Around this time.
Right at Thanksgiving, right? He had that monster Thanksgiving game. I like Antonio. Like I might try to buy him before he has a couple of games, right? Like if I could, I'd trade for him before he has a couple of good games.
Damn, Johnny, the time to buy on him was before this game. Before this
Yeah,
last game.
but there's going to be a bunch of doubters going, it was a lucky game. He hasn't put 2 games in a row in all year. If you're going to get him, now's the time to get him.
Yeah, this will be the last chance because I do agree with you. I think he looked healthier to me. It looked like his shin might be healing a little bit. That fracture, maybe it's getting better.
Got some rest. Yeah.
He had some juice and he looked good. So I agree with you. I think he's gonna resurrect here.
Yep.
All right. Here's a guy you're interested in because you have him in a couple leagues. Myles Gaskin. Now, we know the injury to Malcolm Brown. They're not really using Salvin Ahmed. So is Myles Gaskin going to come through?
So he gets the touches, right? He's not necessarily doing a lot with the touches, but let's look at his schedule down the stretch.
It's nice.
The Jets twice. Panthers, pretty tough run defense. Giants, 22nd against the run. He's got the Saints and Titans, though, which are actually pretty good against the run. And then he ends up with the Patriots, which surprisingly are not that great. So he's got about half and half of his games left are good against the run, but that's not really where he makes his money anyway, right? So here's the twist. Makes his money in the pass in the receiving game. And a lot of those teams that I just mentioned are not good in the pass either. So it's Jets, Giants, Jets again, Saints, Titans. All of those guys are weak against the pass. And so I think that's where he makes his money. The receivers are just not good. So I like Myles. I don't love Myles, and I have him. I've got him as you mentioned, and got a couple shares of him in different leagues. I like him. I don't love him. He's good flex.
I have an interesting take on Myles Gaskin. The game script needs to be negative for him to go off. It's backwards for most running backs. You don't want Myles Gaskin in a lead because they're going to run the ball more, and he's just not that type of guy. But when they get behind, he's going to catch a bunch of balls. Also, I'm not sure that Tua is the right quarterback for Myles Gaskin. He doesn't seem to check down to the running back. He likes to throw it, get it out of his hands quick, but it's generally to the wide receivers and the tight end, if you've noticed. He doesn't utilize Myles Gaskin, whereas Brissett was utilizing Myles Gaskin more. He had his best games with Brissett.
Yeah,
so we'll see. Maybe it's just an anomaly. But I think Myles Gaskin needs the right game script, a negative game script. And hopefully Tua learns to check down to him because that's what he really needs, right? Catch a bunch of balls out of the backfield.
Yep.
All right.
He's had 3 games above 20, and he's also had 3 games below 10. So, and 1 game right at 10. So
Easter famine.
He is, absolutely.
Okay. How about A.J. Dillon in Green Bay? Now that we know that obviously the running back got hurt, he's going to be out, they say about 2 weeks, I believe. What's his name?
Aaron
Jones. Thank you. He's going to be out about 2 weeks. So A.J. Dillon has an opportunity here. And he actually had a really good game after Jones went out last week. So what do we think? Do we think Dillon's about to bust out?
I think Dillon's about to bust out, and I don't think Aaron Jones gets the job back at full time. I think A.J. Dillon is going to show why they drafted him. He's going to show his skills. It's a really good running back. And I think what they'll do is treat him a little bit thunder and lightning-ish, right? So maybe bring Aaron Jones in for some passing downs. But A.J. Dillon's going to end up being the mainstay down the stretch.
If you've quietly noticed the last couple of games, that's exactly what they've been doing. They've been utilizing Jones in the passing game, and when they get down to the goal line, it's A.J. Dillon.
Yep.
And that's going to continue. So
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we are one of those teams in our FFPC league. We do have Jones, and that's going to hurt. He's going to be out a couple weeks, and he's not going to be the same guy when he comes back. So
he wasn't the same guy before he went out. So
all right, I got a guy here. We talked about him a little bit earlier. You had CeeDee Lamb on one side going off. Amari Cooper hasn't been good since the first couple weeks of the season. He's been very mediocre. What do we think about Amari Cooper? Is he going to come through in the second half? Is he going to get healthy? Or is this just Amari Cooper? It's the same guy every year. He fades at the end. What do you think?
I think he will be serviceable, and that's it. I think he's going to be not too up, not too down. He's just going to be serviceable. And he'll give you 2 really good games down the stretch. He's going to give you the rest are going to just be mediocre to bad.
Mm.
Right. It's the same thing every year.
It really is. I mean, the guy every year, first few weeks, he's the top 5 receiver, and then he fades. He's doing it again. And I don't know if it's just always injury or if he's just not as good as we think he is.
It's death, taxes, and Amari Cooper fading. That's the 3 things
right.
you can count on every year.
Speaking of a guy that fades every year, and he's doing it again, Mike Williams out in LA for the Chargers. What do we think about this guy, John? Does he have any life left, or is he dead?
I feel like he's dead. I feel like the Chargers offense has lost a little bit of its identity and a lot of its swagger that it had in the beginning of the year. I think we were ready to, have Herbert running for, MVP candidate. And
yeah.
The whole offense doesn't look great, right? Even Eckler doesn't look great. So I don't like Mike Williams at all the rest of the year. I just don't.
Yeah, if he was my wide receiver 3, I'd be happy with that. If you're counting on him to be one of your top 2 receivers, you're in trouble. He's just not consistent. He'll have monster games every now and then, and he has a lot of duds like he did this week and the week before.
Last 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's his name? The on the opposite side is starting to come through. He's doing his thing like he does every year. Keenan Allen. Gonna catch 100 balls again. So.
Which is crazy, right? I mean, if you think about it.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Here's another guy that's been fading lately. And it might just be the quarterback play, but maybe Cam Newton can revitalize him, and that's DJ Moore. But Robby Anderson has been coming through lately. You've noticed,
I was
right?
going to talk about, yep.
Yeah, so what do we think? Do we think DJ Moore is also going to come through, or does he fade?
I actually think DJ Moore is going to have, I think he'll get back close to where he was, but I do think Robby Anderson is the guy that I think resuscitates. So Robby Anderson's been flatlined. He's been unserviceable, unplayable. I picked up Robby Anderson because I think he and Cam will have a connection, and I think he ends up having a really nice rest of the season.
Normally, I would agree with you because Robby Anderson does do this every year. He comes through at the end of the year. He has like 5 or 6 games to end the season where people think, oh, next year, let me get him in the draft in the top 6, 7 rounds, right? And he disappoints every year. I just don't trust Cam Newton. He is not a good thrower of the football, period. And I tend to think DJ Moore and Robby Anderson will still struggle. I think the guy that you want to have in this offense is Christian McCaffrey. I think they're going to highly rely on this guy now. Yep. But Cam Newton also is, when you get down to the goal line, he's going to get his touchdowns, right? So I do think that. I just think he's a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. I mean, which is not saying much because, I'm a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. But I like both those receivers to play better. Let me put it this way. Cam Newton is a better weapon than Sam Darnold, for sure. No doubt about it. Is he a better thrower of the football? I don't think so. Darnold's more turnover prone. Yeah. He makes stupid decisions. He sees ghosts and all that. But throwing the ball with accuracy, I think Darnold's better than Newton at this stage of their career.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. I can see it.
OBJ with the Rams now, with Stafford. He's going to start to get utilized more starting next week. Is he going to resurrect here in LA? Or is he same old, DOA OBJ? What do you think?
I don't like him.
I don't like him either.
I don't like him. I don't think he's going to do that great. I think he'll do better than he was doing in Cleveland because he was certainly languishing there. But anybody who thinks he's going off, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but it's not good.
Yeah, he's going to catch more balls and some touchdowns because of Stafford and the offense in LA. Yeah. But he's not going to be as good as Woods was. Nope. And he's not the same Odell Beckham Jr., like you said, that we saw 5 years ago. It's just not.
He's just absolutely not.
He's not as explosive. He doesn't jump as high. He drops balls now. He never used to drop balls. So he's just not the same guy. I think it's mental too. I think something's mentally wrong with this guy. He's not.
I'm with you too, man. I
feel like he's not a survivor.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
right. Let's talk about a bear.
All
We've
right.
been saying all year how this guy's been robbing you, son, right? All year he's been crap. But he had a good game 2 weeks ago before the bye. Allen Robinson, right? And now Fields is getting a little better. He's starting to get his feel and his touch and his chemistry with his receivers. Does Allen Robinson make hay the last few weeks here? What do you think?
Yeah, actually, I kind of like him coming back. And I don't know why because it's not like the Bears are doing that much. But I do like Fields looking better. I feel like he's throwing in tighter windows. I feel like he's delivering the ball a little bit better. He's using his legs to get out. And I started to see some life in Robinson 2 weeks ago. He caught that ball on the sideline and it was like, oh, there you are. I missed you, buddy. Where you been? I like him down the stretch. I like him.
I'm not going to give up on Allen Robinson. He's so talented.
Yep.
And if you look at the schedule, the Bears have some excellent matchups for Fields coming up. Yeah. So I think now's the time. It's shit or get off the pot time for Allen Robinson. Here we go.
Totally, dude.
All right.
I am 100% with you.
Here's the guy that's been out most of the year. He's in a lethal offense, and he looked pretty good last week against the Falcons in a blowout. Dallas Cowboys' third wide receiver, Michael Gallup. Forgotten man. But can he resurrect here in the second half?
I think he can. I don't see why not. Like, I really do. I think he can do what he's supposed to do. I think he can resurrect himself. And I like him. I like him down the stretch. So, yeah.
Do you know who takes the back seat when Michael Gallup gets into his regular role as the third wide receiver for Dallas? It's Dalton Schultz.
Cooper?
Dalton Schultz.
Well, yeah.
Well, Cooper too, a little bit, but more so over the middle, the Dalton Schultz that he was getting in the first few weeks. Dalton Schultz was catching all kinds of balls. Those are gone now. They're going to Michael Gallup now, I think. Yeah, because they like Gallup in the slot, and sometimes they'll line up outside, but mostly he's in the slot over the middle, and that's where Dalton Schultz was living and eating, and that's going to come to an end.
Did it surprise you how good he looked the other day? I thought he looked pretty good, like just running,
Yeah, he looked great.
Yeah.
He's a very talented player, and he's in a very, very good offense. So you want to have as many good players in a good offense as you can fantasy-wise. If Michael Gallup is your wide receiver 4, you're doing pretty good.
It's a pretty good day. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That guy on any other team would be at least wide receiver 2.
Exactly. And some teams he'd be the wide receiver 1. Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about DeAndre Hopkins? He's been a ghost. He's been hurt. He hasn't been the same guy, but he's had 2 weeks off now. It looks like he's going to play this week. We're still not sure about Kyler Murray if he's going to play. But if Kyler Murray gets back and DeAndre Hopkins comes back, do we like D-Hop to kind of come through at the end of the season?
Yep, I do. I don't give up on him at all. I think he's had a bad couple of weeks, but generally that guy's pretty money, man. I mean, even after injuries, usually he plays through his injuries. So I feel like that he was really struggling for a couple of weeks with those injuries. So I like him. He's an enigma. He's irritating sometimes, but man, I like him down the stretch.
I do too. He's a professional wide receiver, and he gets open, and he doesn't drop balls. He catches everything his way. If he's healthy, he's going to be good. So hold tight. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to resurrect here in the second half. So
completely.
Is there anyone else that was not on this list that you wanted to talk about, Johnny?
The only other one I can think of is Ayuk.
Mm-hmm.
I think that guy's starting to resurrect a little bit. Not completely, right? Because yesterday he was okay. He wasn't great.
You only caught 3 balls.
Yeah. But he's getting targets now. Like he wasn't getting the first half of the season. He's getting targets now. He's part of it. He seems like he might be out of Shanahan's doghouse. To me, he's a guy that might be able to help down the stretch.
He's going to help a little bit down the stretch, but he's still eating third. It's the Debo show first, and then they got the tight end Kittle over the middle. And then if there's any scraps left in a heavy run offense, then they go to Ayuk. Right. And that's why Ayuk, he's not going to explode unless there's an injury. He'll be okay, but he's not going to explode.
Yeah, I'm not ready to redline him yet, but I'm not ready to call him a hero either. I said, he's on resuscitation, he's on life support, but he's not gone yet.
I agree.
Draft do-overs.
Draft do-over. This is our league that Johnny and I play in, our big money league. Wanted to take a look at the board here. It moved on us a little bit. I'll fix it. Want to take a look at the board and kind of go over where we wanted a do-over, okay? There's a couple spots that are glaring to me. We're going to start with you, John. Would you do it over with Ezekiel in the first round?
No, knowing what I know now, I would have taken Taylor, right? I mean, and it would be easy also to say I would take Henry, but now we know Henry, went out on injury. And by the way, I love Zeke, and I think Zeke's actually doing pretty good. So it's not like I'm mad at him. But if I'd have known what I know now about Jonathan Taylor, I would have taken that guy in the first round for sure.
So that going into the draft, I was sweating it down the stretch. I was thinking, do I want Chubb or do I want Taylor? And I ultimately chose Chubb, and I want to do over, man. I love Chubb, but he's availability. That's the most important aspect of the game. You need to be available. And Chubb simply every year misses several games. And whether it's COVID or injury, whatnot, he's already missed a bunch of games this year. When he plays, he's great. But I'll take Jonathan Taylor. He plays every game, and he's a stud, and he's looking like the best running back in football now. So I want a do-over. I want Taylor there. And then coming back in the second round, you can see I took Austin Eckler. Now, if I had to do it over again, that's where I banged Josh Allen right there. In this league, we take quarterbacks early because they score a lot. And I don't know why it keeps jumping on us. I apologize. But anyhow, I take Josh Allen there. But it's just so turns out that I used Eckler, and I used my quarterback was Aaron Rodgers, and I ended up getting Allen in a trade. So it worked out okay. How about you? Second round, you took David Montgomery.
I mean, at that spot and what he looked like in the first couple of weeks, I thought I got a pretty good deal at number 2. He was actually looking like the guy I drafted. If I'd have known he was going to get injured, would I take somebody else? I sure would. But I look at the guys who went after. Diggs hasn't really done much. Edwards-Helaire hasn't done much. Dak's okay. He's kind of up and down. He's not better than the quarterback I ended up getting. Where I get upset is my third round pick. When we come back around. And that's Calvin Ridley. My God, do I want to do over?
I bet you do. Who would you take there? Knowing what you know now, who would have been the smart play there?
Probably A.J. Brown, even though he had a little bit of a bad week this week. I would have gone down there.
Yeah, I agree. CeeDee Lamb, I never would question that pick. That was a great pick there. This was my biggest mistake of the draft right here. Aaron Rodgers. I took him over the number 1 quarterback in the league right now, old man Tom Brady. If I had to do it over again, I take Tom Brady there.
Yeah, I liked my quarterback here that I got, Lamar, because I did, I wanted Dak, and of course, he got stolen.
Mm-hmm.
My boy Project Mayhem stole him from me. But I liked Lamar there. I had been talking about him a little bit before draft. Where he fell, I think he's good. He's been, pretty phenomenal this year. He's had a couple of clunkers, but for the most part, he's good.
All right, now go down your draft board here, Johnny, and tell me, is there anywhere else that you regret that you'd like a do-over? I'll do the same on my board.
All right, so all of them. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, if you really look at this, I've had a terrible draft after this.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't done anything. Tyler Boyd, I'm gonna tell my secret right now. I got him confused with T. Higgins. T. Higgins was already available. I knew it was a T name. It is just one of those things where I was in the heat of the battle and I said Tyler Boyd. And as soon as I said it, I was like, that's not who I wanted. I wanted T. Higgins.
Yeah.
But, and so not that T. Higgins has gone off that much more, but Tyler Boyd's not on my team anymore. Cortland Sutton, we've all seen he had 2 good games and the rest has been just awful. Patriots defense, that was a good one. That was good.
Great pick.
My tight end Thomas has been on injured reserve, didn't do much before that. Matt Ryan, he's
on my team now.
Yeah, he's now your backup, so he's not on the team. Jared Cook, what's he done? Nothing. He's not on my team right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just dropped Landry. I held on to that guy as long as I possibly could. He's been terrible. Even without Odell, he was terrible. He's not good. Denver Broncos defense, I still have. They're up and down. They've actually done well for me when I've had to play them, so I'm okay with that.
So,
anyway, I didn't
having said all that, Johnny, what place are you in?
Fourth.
Fourth place. John's right there. He's in the hunt. He's still a contender. And that's because it's not all about the draft. It's how you utilize free agency and what you do after the draft to fix up your roster. And Johnny's right in the hunt. He had a bad week this week, but he's like one good week away from being in first or second place. It's that close.
Yeah.
Now,
I did draft Marquise Brown late.
You did, and that was your best pick.
That was one of my best picks. And then everybody else, like you said, I have picked up the rest of my team entirely. Cordero Patterson was the most amazing free agent pick that I've ever had. Right?
Yeah.
So, like
Marquise Brown in the 15th, by the way. Nice pick.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah.
All right, now going
on yours, buddy.
Yeah, just real quick. So Damian Harris, I still think was a great pick there. As long as he gets back to being the starter and not Ramondre Stevenson. I still like that pick. This is where I screwed up. I was real high on Claypool. That did not work out. I regret that one there. There are several guys I probably could have taken, like Antonio Brown or perhaps Amari Cooper even. Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
There's some guys there. I regret taking Claypool there. What can I say? Hawkinson was a good pick, even though he just got a 0. He's been real solid. Marquez Callaway is not on my team anymore, but this is the steal of the draft right here. 10th round, Deebo Samuel. Don't regret that. And I don't regret taking Pittman in 11. That was a great pick as well. I used him in a trade, and I ended up with some good players. Waddle, for instance, is on my team now. So, but you can see this. These are not our rosters, John. About half the guys are not on our team anymore. It's all about what you do after the draft. You got to stick with it. Don't give up. There's still plenty of guys that are going to be available on the waiver wire. If you're hurting at running back, there's going to be injuries. Don't give up.
I completely agree, man.
Week 11 matchups.
All right. So we're done with week 10 now. We're moving on to week 11. We got week 11 matchups, and we're going to throw in some waiver wire gyms as we discuss these matchups. On bye this week, we got the Denver Broncos and the LA Rams, only 2 teams. All the other teams are on the schedule. So we each picked 3 games that we were interested in, and we had some duplicates. So I'm going to let you start. Which game did you like the most that you want to discuss?
Oh, which one I like the most? The Chiefs Cowboys.
Let's talk about that first.
I feel like this one's going to be an eat fest for everybody involved. Chiefs defense has been better last couple of weeks. They're not good enough to stay with the Cowboys. Cowboys defense has been real opportunistic, but I think the Chiefs have found a formula that I think could absolutely make the Cowboys pay with this dink and dunk, hit them low, let these fast receivers run after they catch the ball. I think everybody eats. I keep all my Cowboys in, including Gallup. I think Zeke's going to go well. I might even, if I had to, I'd play Pollard in this game. But I think Dak is going to go off. I think Mahomes is going to go off. I think if Clyde plays, I might go ahead and put him in. If he doesn't play, I would definitely play the Williams. Of course, you play the cheetah because he's going to he just goes off every week. That guy. Be more. He's not just the deep receiver now. He's that guy that goes over the middle, gets the tough yards. And I don't know how he gets as wide open for 2 touchdowns as he did the other night against the Raiders, but it's amazing to me. But yeah, I love this game.
Yeah, it's an over-under of 56. Chiefs are right now currently favored by 2.5. It's in Kansas City. I think that makes a huge difference. I think Dallas plays fast on their home turf in the dome. I think in Kansas City, it mitigates some of their speed a little bit. So I think it's a Zeke game. I think Ezekiel Elliott's going to go off. I think he's going to get 100 yards and maybe a touch or 2 touchdowns maybe. I don't think Dak's going to go quite off as you think. I do like CeeDee Lamb. You got to play him. I don't like Amari Cooper this week. I think he's going to get shut down by what's his name, the cornerback over there in Kansas City, the Honey Badger.
Tyron.
Yeah, I think Tyron's gonna like take him out of the game a little bit, but we'll see. Kelsey, I like Kelsey a lot in this game. We didn't talk about him over the middle though. I think Dallas is vulnerable, and I think they'll pay. They'll pay big, and Kelsey will have another good game.
I agree with you. Yep.
I'd like to see. What I'm curious is to see whether Darrell Williams and CEH share the ball, or if CEH is just going to be the man. Well, I'm really curious to see what happens there.
It'll be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah. I wish it was your next game.
My favorite game, for me personally, Indianapolis Colts at the Buffalo Bills. Bills are favored by 7, over under 50. So Vegas thinks it's going to be relatively high scoring. It's in Buffalo, and they're giving Buffalo a touchdown edge. I think it's going to be closer than that. I don't think Indianapolis needs to get a little more respect. The way they're playing right now with Jonathan Taylor pounding that ball, they're tough to beat. They're real tough to beat. And Buffalo has shown a little bit of, not last week. They dominated last week against the crappy Jets team, but they've had some tough matchups. They lost to the Jaguars, so they haven't been playing great football. I want to see what happens in this game. I love me some Josh Allen, though, but I think this is going to be a tight contest. What do you think?
I think the Bills' defense is still being underrated. I think Jonathan Taylor goes off this week. I think it's going to be one of those few weeks that he doesn't go off. He's good for a couple of those a year. And I think this is one of those where they're going to control him. I think he gets 60 yards, might get a tutty, might get one touchdown. So they're going to have a horrible week, but he's not going to go off. I don't like Wentz in this game. I think Wentz throws 2 picks. I actually don't like the Colts very much in this game. I actually think the Bills are going to go. I feel like the Bills play up or down to their opponent. That's why they to the Jaguars. That's why they played I believe that was the Jets. They played really close. But yet some of these better teams, they start to blow them out and they start to play really well. So I like Josh. I actually like Stephon Diggs this week. I would love a running back, but every time I think it's Moss, it's Singletary. And every time I think it's Singletary, it's Moss. So
or Matt Breida.
Yeah, or and then suddenly Matt Breida comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's neither Terry. So it's definitely not Singletary. It's definitely not Moss, and I doubt that it's Breida. Although Breida almost seems like a Sean McDermott guy, right? Like it's like, okay, we've given you 2 a chance. Now we're gonna let Breida go. And I don't think it's the running back's fault. Actually, I think they're both talented. I just don't think they're given the opportunity.
Did you know last week Breida had 2 touchdowns, a rushing and a receiving? Moss had a touchdown, and Singletary had a touchdown.
Yeah.
Breida played 8 snaps.
Yes, 8 snaps.
Only 8 snaps. So he's not really a thing. That was an anomaly, I think. Yeah. They like to throw the ball.
But I will say this. McDermott said, we'll get our running game right. And they scored 3 running touchdowns.
Yeah,
just
3. Yeah. That killed me too, because I have Josh Allen and I'm watching them throw the ball all the way down to the 1 and then run it in every time.
And then run it in. Yep.
Yeah, come on. All right. What's another game you like this week, Johnny?
I like the Bingies Raiders game. And I
like that one too.
I like it because of the fantasy implications, right? Like, I don't think the Raiders can necessarily keep up with the Bengals offense. I think the offense on both sides I think they're gonna eat again. I think this is another one of those where I think Kari has a get right game. He's had a couple of games where he's not been that great lately. I think this one he's right. I think he gets right. I think Renfro's been a really good receiver, and I think he's criminally underrated in this league. He's like a poor man's Cooper Kupp. He'd be the best small receiver in LA if it wasn't for Kupp there. But I also think that I think the Bengals, though, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, those guys are going to eat a lot. I like Uzama this week. And I love, if he plays, because I think he was injured last week, the running back, Joe Mixon. Really like me some mixing it up. Joey mixing it up. Bro
Mixon. Let's do it. I like Bro a lot this week. You can run on the Raiders. I think the Bengals will do that. So I also like Samaje Perine. Maybe also maybe sneaking a tutty there. Sure. Yeah. Sure. I do think Joe Burrow will have a good game. He's good for 2 touchdowns almost every week. Jamar Chase is going to bust a big one. The Raiders haven't quite been the same since the Henry Ruggs thing happened. I think
I agree.
he's a deep threat, whether he catches a lot of balls or not. He spreads the field out. So the guy that has benefited the most has been the possession receiver, Hunter Renfrow, like you said. So I do like Hunter Renfrow. I don't like Edwards. I like him when Ruggs is on the other side to take away some of the coverage, but now they're just putting a safety deep and taking Edwards out of the game. So
Right.
For the Raiders, how about the running attack? Do we like the running backs of the Raiders? Are any of them worth a play this week?
I like Drake a little bit better than I like Jacobs.
Mm-hmm.
I think he catches the ball a little bit better, shows some more wiggle on the outside. Jacobs is your guy. He's going to pummel you on the inside, but I think the Bengals run defense is actually not too bad. So Drake better than I like Jacobs.
All right. Here's a game that we also both found interesting, and that's the Green Bay Packers at the Minnesota Vikings. Green Bay's favored by 2.5, over under 49. So relatively high scoring. Green Bay's on the road. I like Minnesota in this game. What do you think?
I like Minnesota in this game too, but I do think Aaron Rodgers comes back better than he's been. I actually think I like both offenses. I think this is going to be a shootout, and I like the Packers defense though, man. It's been playing above its head for the last couple of weeks, but this is a Jefferson game if I've ever seen one. I think Jefferson's going to go off. I think Cousins is going to have a nice game.
How about Dalvin Cook?
I like Dalvin. I don't love Dalvin in this game because I think the Packers run defense is a little more stout than what they're given credit for. They're pretty tough up front, so I don't love him. I don't love him in this game. I like Thielen and I like Jefferson a lot. I like Tyler Conklin to be sneaky tight end play this time because I do think linebackers can be thrown on. And then when you look on the Green Bay side, A.J. Dillon is going to feast because I don't think the Vikings are that great against the run. Devontae is going to come back into form. Aaron's going to come back into form. It's going to look more like the Packers like we thought. I think you get a little Lazard this week. And that's pretty much where I'm going with that.
I think it's a big Devontae Adams week, like big. I think he's due for one of those 140 yards and 2 touchdown type games. So play him in your DFS lineups if you can. All right. Here's another game that probably only I find interesting because I know you don't like Arizona, but the Arizona Cardinals, who are favored by 2.5 points, are going on the road to Seattle. Over unders 49. First of all, is Kyler Murray going to play? You don't think Kyler Murray is going to play?
I think Kyler Murray will play. I think he's
going to play.
Yeah.
Do you think DeAndre Hopkins is going to play?
I do.
Okay. If they do play, I like Arizona to freaking stomp Seattle this week.
I agree with you. I think the defense is going to be mad. They've given up too many points this week, and it's a really good defense. And I think offense is going to come back and go, yeah, we were undefeated for a reason, y'all. And I actually even like Kyler, and you know how I feel about him. I like this week.
I got a bold prediction.
Ooh,
Not only do I think Arizona is going to stomp them this week, and I think that the offense in Seattle has been pretty bad, and I think they're still going to struggle because Arizona has a good defense. And I think this is going to be the final straw and the nail in the coffin for the coach for Seattle. I think he's done. I think he's going to get fired at the end of the year, and this is going to be the catalyst for why they're going to fire him because this game is going to be disgusting blowout. That's my gut.
I don't think they'll fire him. I think they'll have him retire, and I think he'll happily do that. I think.
Wow, forced retirement. Whatever.
Yeah, I think they'll
call it
force
what you
retirement,
want.
but yeah.
I think Pete Carroll's job is in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
Yeah.
And I would have thought one of the safe coaches, right? Because he's been doing really well. But if you look at the last 5 years, it's not the same.
You know who's not happy there? Russell Wilson.
Everybody? Yeah.
Well, yeah, everyone, but especially Russell Wilson. He refuses to let that guy cook. And it's going to come to bite him in the ass. This is the end. This is the end.
Yep.
Okay.
Burning questions.
Burning questions. I got 2 questions for you this week. This will be our final segment.
Let's go. Love it.
These are 2 things that have been bugging me all week. And one is for obvious reasons because I own shares in this guy. We'll get to that in just a second. And the other is because we don't talk about dynasty leagues as much in this, and I'd like to throw some of that into this show tonight. So we're going to talk a little dynasty as well. First question, though. I have Damian Harris. Ramondre Stevenson flashed last week. Damian was out due to concussion. Stevenson took advantage, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, also caught some balls, looked really explosive. Now, I'm asking you, Johnny, do you think going forward, this is a timeshare? Do you still think it's Damian's backfield, or do you think it's Stevenson's backfield?
It's going to be 60-40 for the rest of the year. Both of them stay healthy, with Devin getting the 60 and Ramondre getting the 40.
Damian's getting 60%?
Yep. However, if you're asking me who I'd keep in a dynasty league, Ramondre all day. I don't think Devin's the guy there.
Yeah, Damian Harris, his time might be coming to an end here. I still think he's going to be the starter. He'll get first crack, but he doesn't catch passes. Ramondre Stevenson catches passes.
Yep.
Both have a nose for end zone, so I think they are.
Here's what I will say about. I'll say this about Belichick. He gets stubborn. And once he's decided that Devin's the better running back, which means that he's going to make sure that he gets the most carries of the two.
Yeah, and Damian Harris has been great all year.
He's been good.
Played, he's getting 1 or 2 touchdowns every single game. So it's hard to know, just because Stevenson had one good game against a mediocre defense. It's hard to know, is he just going to trust him all of a sudden when, Damian Harris is healthy? We're going to find out Thursday night, though, because they're going to play Thursday night, and I think both are going to be active, and we're going to find out.
Sure.
Oh, man, I'm nervous. I need me some Damian. I got lots to share.
I was going to say, you need some Harris.
I do. All right, final question, burning question. So I've been thinking about this a lot because I'm 5-5 in my dynasty league. There is also total points, and I'm like 4th in total points. But in head-to-head, I'm 5-5, and I'm fading fast. When is it finally time to throw in the towel on your dynasty season and start selling off your assets to improve your team for the future? What do you think, John?
I think you're about 2 weeks away from that.
Yeah?
Yeah, because it's a long season. And remember, it's 17 games this year. 17,
yeah.
Yeah, 17 weeks.
18 weeks, 17
18
games.
weeks, yeah. Right? 17 games. So it's 18 weeks, and you're only 10 in. You still got 8 weeks. And if you added those 8 wins to your, of course, with the playoffs and everything, you're not really.
It's going to be 5 or 6 more weeks before playoffs. So, yeah.
Yeah. So let's say you added 6 more wins to your, now you're 11-5.
And you're in.
My guess is you're in, right?
Yeah.
You take another L, 2 L's for sure. Now you got to start going, all right, how does my team look next year? Who am I trying to get rid of, and who am I trying to keep? So, yeah.
Let me tell you who I have, and then maybe that'll change your mind. My quarterback is Herbert. My running backs, Joe Mixon, Christian McCaffrey, and James Robinson. I also have Gordon from Denver to play in the flex spot, right? But my receivers are where I'm hurting. I have Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. I have your boy in Denver, Cortland Nutton. My tight end is Kyle Pitts. So that you have an idea of what my team looks like. I've had some bad luck with injuries with McCaffrey, with Mixon, James Robinson. Yeah. I feel like when I get them all back healthy, which they are right now, I can make a run at this.
I do too. Your receivers are going to need to pick it up, right?
I have Waddle too, if that helps.
Oh, actually, that does help me a little bit. It's not time to throw it in.
Not at all, right?
No, you got a real shot.
I'm going to give it 4 more weeks because I'm also 4th in total points, and I'm like 100 points behind the number 1 guy, which is very doable, right? Yeah. If I can catch fire here, especially with McCaffrey.
If you have 2 crap weeks, though, you're going to start feeling a little bit different.
Yeah, and that's what happened to me last year because McCaffrey was hurt all year and stuff, and I sold off assets. I sold off Aaron Jones. And I sold off, I had a Kamara, I sold him off, and I got draft picks and players. I ended up getting Mixon back, and I ended up turning it into Kyle Pitts and Jalen Waddle, and I got the Bears quarterback, the rookie. So I have some stuff going in the future. So this year, I'm playing it balls to the wall until I'm absolutely mathematically out of it. I'm not going to sell off any parts because I think I already have future assets, so I don't need to sell off parts.
Yeah, you've got enough. Yeah. Let it ride for a couple of weeks, and let's say we'll revisit in a couple of weeks, and we'll see where
we'll talk about this in about 4 weeks and see where I'm at.
Yeah. I feel like we talked about it before then, but yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you for watching another episode of Fantasy Football Island. Johnny Ballgame, I'd like to thank you for your great commentary once again. Good job.
Got it, brother.
Tony,
thanks for running the show. You're the general that keeps us going, man.
That's right. Tony will be back next week. Royce will be back next week, so don't you worry. We're gonna do week 12 next week. Wow, this season is rolling on. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Hit that notification bell. We'll be back next week. We appreciate you yet again. Thank you very much. Enjoy the games on Sunday.
See you guys.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Hey, fool, this ain't no football game.
Tune in next week to see if Tony and Royce's bitch ass will show up on Fantasy Sports Island.